Alexandre Schinazi was responsible for selecting companies in the first phase of low-carbon project. Alexandre, tell us how was this process?
So the European Union chose a number of different sectors which were called low-carbon sectors, so sectors of different kinds of work in which it's possible to have low-carbon activities, activities which could reduce the emissions of carbon. So the first step of the project was actually to do a number of mapping reports, sector mappings, in which each of these different areas was studied and mapped out, the reality in Brazil, the reality in Europe. So that's the first thing to understand, that the missions were sector-specific, and then the companies would apply to their specific missions within their sectors. We would do an open call for applications. So the project, throughout the duration of the project, made contacts with several different associations in Brazil, in Europe, also cluster associations. So there was a call made by the communication team to try to target and to reach the greatest number possible of companies who were relevant to the mission. And then our job as the technical team, as the low emission technologies expert, was to select among all the companies that applied which ones were actually most relevant to the mission. So we use a number of different criteria. First of all, of course, the relevance to the mission itself. Second of all, the project has, to the sector itself. Second of all, the project has a number of official criteria in terms of the size of the companies, because this is a project for SMEs, for small and medium enterprises. So that was another criteria. And then we also tried to diversify as much as we could the participants in terms of different activities within each of the sectors, also in terms of getting a big variety of different countries in Europe and different states in Brazil. And then what we tried to do is to match the companies as best as we could. So I think that was the core of the technical aspect of this project, which is also what a lot of the companies have said was the difference of this project and other matchmakings that they had already attended.
Give us an example in a specific mission.
We had a set of criteria that were established throughout the duration of the project, mixed with case-by-case analyses in order to see the European companies, the Brazilian companies, which ones had the most synergy so that they would talk to each other, and also trying to identify interesting companies that had applied and did not have a counterpart which they could speak to. So then we tried to find other companies to invite so that we could increase the number of interesting matches. So that was basically the job. And then during the missions themselves, the companies speak to each other, and at the end the goal is for them to sign agreements, cooperation partnership agreements, so that they can then do projects together in the future, in the near future, we hope.
What kind of criteria you use to select these companies, these agreements, no?
We're going to combine different aspects that we are going to analyze during the evaluation process that will be held from December to February. And then we are going to evaluate, first of all, the market feasibility, analyzing if the technology of the product is suitable for the Brazilian market, the potential to generate impact in terms of economy and environment, if the projects or the agreements are feasible to be financed in the future, and that's all. And of course that if the projects are technically feasible. So for this matter, we're going to generate a technical evaluation committee that will be composed of these four experts, and I will be in charge of the coordination of this process. This collaboration partnership agreement, the CPAs, and we are going to be in charge of developing them and then selecting at least 80 of them. And these 80 will be developed during the next 2 years, and our main objective is to come them and to present this project to financial entities.
And your expectations about these agreements?
We think that we are going to be able to identify at least between 100 and 150 concept notes during this part of the project, and Our main objective is to reach to those 80 concept notes, then take them and give them technical assistance to do all those studies necessary to take the final decision of an investment or co-investment or financiation, and then to give them the opportunity and the chance to come true.
I think it's also nice to mention that during this first phase there were up to now approximately 600 agreements that have been signed so far, so in this more superficial level. And it's interesting to see that they vary completely in terms of what kinds of agreements there are. So ranging from joint ventures between companies to knowledge sharing to simple exportation, importation. So many different kinds of projects with different kinds of values also involved. So it will be interesting to see which of these will end up advancing in phase 2.
We hope to do a good second phase. We hope to push at least 80 of them, or even some, or even reach to 100 concept notes, and then to push them to get them into reality.
What do you think about the environmental benefits of these agreements?
There is a large potential, of course, that is the goal of the project, to have positive environmental impact. And the sectors were chosen thinking exactly about that. So when we talk about energy efficiency sectors, any agreement is focused on reducing energy consumption. So in these various different fields, all of these agreements in some way, they're focused on some kind of optimization, some kind of energy saving, or some kind of energy generation from renewable sources, which all help offset carbon emissions.
We also should consider that the aim of the European Commission in this sense is to, first of all, have an impact on the reduction of the carbon emissions in Brazil. And the second objective would be to generate business opportunities between Brazil and Europe. And in this sense, all the selected concept notes we should demonstrate and should just justify that they have an impact in the reduction of the carbon emissions.